Good evening, everyone. It's nice to have you here. We're at Hall High. We know that there are some that may still be on their way here, but we also have a group that's here in our auditorium at Hall. We also have folks that are paying attention and watching through virtual and watching this live in a virtual setting. So thank you for that. Mr. Bailey and I are, I think, really excited about presenting. This is our third stop on our kind of forums to allow the public to give us input, and we've enjoyed them, and we hope that you will enjoy this and find it of value. We always start with the fact that we're extremely accessible, and anytime, even after this presentation ends, you can always send us an email, and we'll finish that way too with questions, and we'll try to respond as quickly as we can. Our intent, very simple, is to try to get input from you as a community. And our board wants to see all of that input come in so that we can modify our thinking, modify our list of projects, or know that maybe we're on the right track. And those are all things that this board seeks. I want to specifically call out that we have our board president, Ms. Vicki Hatter. We have Ms. Allie Nolan here. We have our vice president, Ms. Leanne Wilson, and we also have our director, Mr. Jeff Wood. So we appreciate all the board members being here. Also appreciate Dr. McGee, our deputy superintendent here this evening. And of course, appreciate Pam Smith and her crew for how they all set this up. Finally, appreciate the principal of Hall, Steam Magnet, and also Forest Heights STEM, Amy Cooper, for helping us with the logistics of getting to this space. She's been in and out of here, and to no surprise, she's still running it, so we don't know where she's at right now. But we're appreciative of her and her staff for allowing us this opportunity to be here tonight. So, it starts with, the very first slide. We're wanting to have that red pop out to you November 2nd. We hope that's where we're headed. But we know that, we have some work to get there. A part of it is that this is the third of our stops. Tomorrow we're going to be at Central High. We'd encourage folks to come to Central, or again, tune in to see what else maybe get discussed. And then we finish with Parkview. On next Monday. So those are our final two places. Our board actually gets to act on this, and I'm always on the verge of saying the wrong date. I'm going to see if I get it right, August 19th.
Two thumbs up.
Our date when the board will take under consideration the actual ballot language and make a determination whether or not we want to have this issue come forward to you as a public. And so August 19th, that's when this is shaped. That's a very special meeting. And I know some of you are probably thinking, man, they have a lot of special meetings right now. Well, we do. and a part of that is that we're trying to be responsive and also accountable. So responsive to ever-changing situations. That happens tonight. Looking at whether or not we want to get involved in a lawsuit on the mask mandate. We need to have a special meeting on the 19th because we want to have the board have as much time to hear from all of you. We want that community input. So that's kind of the gap. But if you look at the 19th, if the board decides to move forward, our next step is then an election where we would actually find out the results on November 2nd. I think I see Representative McCullough here, and I wanted to call her out real quick because it's nice to have a legislator in the House who also represents this zone. So thank you very much for being here. When you look at our issue, and Mr. Bailey and I will kind of tag team, but we've got tonight our concept is that we really have an agenda. We want to provide you some historical context of where this district's been in terms of its ballot, going out to the public and trying to get the public to approve what we're trying to sell and what's happened in terms of our projects, in terms of construction and improvements of our facilities. We want to give you an overview of what our actual millage extension looks like, and what does that really mean for you as a taxpayer, and what does it mean for the district in terms of our responsibility to make payments, and then finally, how much money would it generate in terms of being able to do improvement projects. And then we're going to finish off, kind of our last slide is really getting to talk about the projects themselves that we have in place. What our recommendation is as an administrative group, we have received an initial round of feedback from our board. That was probably 3 weeks ago. That helped shape this. Our board also helped us in shaping this to know that how much money we could actually go for. So you'll notice that we have $300 million bond refinance, and that was helpful because it let us, when the board made that decision, it kind of let us know how to package how much stuff we could actually put on there and what we could put on. The alternative on the paperwork that we have, or if you're not with us, you can look this up on the website. There were multiple alternatives of how big a package, but we can do $300 million, and that's what we're going to go for. So I'm going to go to the next slide, and this really gets to be a little bit more of Mr. Bailey. I'll cover the ballot history. Really the only time in our recent history that you could say we went to the public and were successful was in 1999, 2000, when we went to the voters as a community and asked for not an extension, but actually an increase in how much people were paying on their taxes. So taxes did increase in 1999, 2000, and it went up 4 mills. But the interesting thing about that particular election is the amount of participation that made that major decision. It was a very, very small turnout. Less than just over 2,000 people total, I think, participated in that election. That's pretty wild. Now, you look at the 2 ballot issues that have taken place since I've arrived as your superintendent. One was in 2017. You can see we were roundly defeated. We only generated 35% of the vote in favor of doing this very thing that we're talking about, an extension of our millage. We only had 35%. I don't think and believe with all my heart that wasn't about people worried about the projects as much as they were worried about local control. And that ultimately caused the major defeat. 2020, this is the same time when we have a board being elected, but it was still an unknown of who that board was going to be. And I think that had a factor, but we came pretty close. We jumped up now to just almost 46%, so we're getting closer to actually being successful on something like this. And now we're coming back again with an election that would occur on November the 2nd. Mr. Bailey, you want to cover just a little bit about the debt service millage extension and what that looks like?
So we'll jump right in. Good evening again. So on the debt service extension is basically extending our debt service mills, our 12.4 mills, not the whole 46.4, but the 12.4 mills out additional 19 years. But we related it similar to you refinancing the house. So if I bought a house 15 years ago and I got a 30-year mortgage, I owe 15 years on that mortgage. Interest rates, they said at that time was 8%, now they're 2.5%. I decided to refinance at a lower interest rate, but instead of just refinancing and doing a 15-year, I do a 30-year mortgage. So that's similar to what we're asking right now. So we're going to refinance at a lower interest rate. Rates are historically low now, along with extending that part of the debt for a little bit longer to lower our debt service payment, but also to raise additional $300 million out there. So for this debt, it can only be used for capital improvement purposes only. So it can't be used for salaries or our normal maintenance and operation. So it goes back into the buildings that we're proposing here. And you'll see the projects a little bit later. One of the things on here, it has to be expended within 3 years of that bond issuance. So as we kind of layer those things, we talked about doing different tranches of actually bond issuance. So we may look at doing a $200 million first, then coming back a year and a half later, and actually look at the next $100 million. However, we kind of break those up. So we just really have to kind of play it by, kind of based on what we can actually get accomplished within a 3-year period. So we're looking at those projects right now and really kind of going to decide that, I would say, but by the 19th. So, but we have up until we get ready. If the voters approve it, we have till we actually get ready to sell the bonds. Can we go back one? I think on there. One more. I think it was one part I wanted to see on. So I don't know if we told we can only give the facts tonight. So we're not soliciting you for anywhere on the vote. So this is just to give you the pure facts. So we're district employees, so we can't use the money for advertising or district facilities to actually push the one way or another. So if any questions, I mean, this is an open forum. We want to make sure you ask the question, but we're not proposing anyway. But the factuals on here, we'll talk about some of those things. So some of the facts we'll talk about is that the average age of our buildings is about 65 years old now, and we have a lot of infrastructure needs.
That really gets us into those infrastructure needs. There was a study done by the Board of Education in Really, it was produced in 2014, delivered, but it had gone on for several years. Go ahead and share a little bit about that.
So the board at that time actually charged us with actually doing a comprehensive facility study plan. So it was looking at the current enrollment, projected enrollment at that time, and the use of facilities and what 21st century learning looks like. So that study took about a year. We had engineers and architects and a lot of meetings with different directors and program leaders in the district. So it identified over $300 million worth of needs at that time. So of course that's been 7 years ago now, so those needs are still there. But over that period of time, Mr. Poore highlighted in 2017, when we went before the voters, we failed. 2020, we failed again, but those needs were still here. So some of the things we looked at doing at that time was a second lien loan. So basically with a second lien, didn't require voter approval, it required board approval. For $7 million, we actually were able to generate $93 million. So a lot of those things went into the LED packaging, and I don't know if you want to hit some of those, but.
Well, I do want to say that, some of you might say, why not go a second lien right now? And the response would be that you just simply can't generate as much money. And what we're looking at with the $300 million type of package is that it really lets us have an impact on every part of our district. That's critical. It takes care of some of those things that are the things that you have to reinvest in older buildings, but it also lets us propel forward. And I think you'll see and appreciate that when we get into our list. But, the other thing that I'll share beyond the second lien loan, we also had some leftover money, not leftover money, but money that had to be spent as a part of the DSEG funds that had to go towards facilities. So the DSEG funds, then what we did on second lien loan, and then I know you're proud of the energy conservation project.
We actually did a performance service contract, and basically that conserves energy to pay for the actual debt service that you inquire about here. So you see close to almost $13 million, and this is actually one facility. We replaced the Hvac in this auditorium and some other around in the hall. And ironically, we did have a part of the HVAC system, not the new part, that actually failed in the media center this week. So
it's kind of one of those things you don't want to talk about,
but I mean that shows the needs that we have in the district. So
yeah, again, aging facility, and we had to move professional development from our library here at Hall because our HVAC system went down. And that's going to happen when you have older buildings.
It is. So those infrastructure needs, we typically don't see the plumbing, electrical, HVAC things as well. So over this period of time, over the last 12 years, so if we had any bonds outstanding, we actually have went out there and refinanced them or refunded them at a lower interest rate, and that saved us over $29 million. That's gone back into the buildings in the district. So this is similar to the same thing. We're going to refund, but we're going to extend as well.
I think you've given a dollar amount, Mr. Bailey. I'm trying to recall how much money we've actually been able to go put into our facilities without asking for the taxpayers' help.
So big dollar amount, upwards of about 175 million. So if you go back to the 2012 or 2013 year, we actually bought land for West Little Rock and Southwest Little Rock. Over this period of time, we actually bought what was called the Leisure Arts Center, which is now Pinnacle View Middle School, which is just a total warehouse. And I mean, if you look up on the screen, we don't have $170 million that we actually have brought in. So it's been some conservative, just been some actions that we fiscally been responsible for, making sure we reinvest back into our facilities. So
I think one of the exciting things is that when we did these projects, we've enhanced learning opportunities in all sorts of different parts of our city. But one of the best things is that when you get to go build something like Pinnacle or Southwest, the surprise factor within the Little Rock community say, this is really Little Rock School District did this building, and we want to try to make sure that we create even more facilities that people can be very proud of. We okay to go to the next slide?
Yep.
Okay. Let me go back just one step here. I should have mentioned one more thing, that when you look at this list of things that have happened, we have done a lot of work that is good things to improve, like security systems at the secondary. We've done things at this campus that have had an impact. We've done things at Dunbar over the course of the time. But we're so far from really meeting the needs of some of our aging campuses. So when you go now to the next slide, this is our list of projects that, as an administrative group, again, initially listened to our board, Board hasn't settled on this in any form or fashion, but this is where we're kind of going as an administrative group. We went to the 300 million because the board said that's what our package could be. The good thing about the package of 300 million, it's saying that because we know we have a strong financial situation in this district. We have the ability to make a higher debt payment to generate that additional income or revenue, I should say, for the bond project here, this millage. So if we have that additional money, we pay a higher debt. We have to do that over a span of an additional 19 years, but the good thing is that we're ready to do that. And right behind that, we're ready to come in with a salary increase for employees. So the way we're handling the resources that are entrusted us as administrators, as a Board of Education, we're hoping people have a confidence. Every project that we've taken on with all the things that were done under these facility management things, they've come in on time, under budget, and no injuries with anyone that was doing the work. And I know both of us are really proud about that.
And amazing projects. If you get a chance, and if you hadn't been through Pinnacle View, walk through there, try to get a tour. Not sure how COVID is going to relate to you getting a tour, but Southwest High School is amazing as well. And you want to talk about the Mcclellan renovation?
Well, in the Mcclellan renovation, we have that over here, and we're going to start right off the bat with, that's our top project, because we owe it to the folks in the Southwest, not just because we settled that as a part of a lawsuit, but because it's the area where we have a campus that's in the worst shape of any campus that we currently have in our control, and that would be Cloverdale. It is a really challenging facility. We do good things there at that campus. It's kind of got itself in a really good trajectory in terms of its academic and its programs, but we need a better campus. And we're tied in with Cromwell Architects and Clark Contractors. We've actually already spent the money to create the design that is visible, at least to the audience that's in the auditorium tonight. You can find these diagrams on our website. And so we have all sorts of really good information about the project. We did this in collaboration, just like we did at Pinnacle, just like we did at Southwest, where we had teachers, we had kids, we had parents, we had our own staff, all interacting to say, here's what the new Mcclellan would look like. And it's going to be a campus that we will all be excited about and proud about, just like we were with Pinnacle or with Southwest High.
Exactly.
Now, the interesting thing about this campus is that price tag is now $85 million. When I first came in to the district and we started talking about redoing Mcclellan, that price tag was at about 50 to 55 million. That was in 2016 that I arrived, 50 to 55 million. Now we're looking at it in 2021, and the price tag has gone up to
85 million based on your latest estimates.
And that's because of increased construction costs, labor.
We're going to blame it on COVID-19, pretty much everything. So it's a shortage of labor, shortage of materials, and it's taken much longer to get those things in. We're hopeful that by the time it's probably about a 2-year construction time frame that some of those prices will go down, but it won't go down to where it was prior to COVID. So
now we want to go ahead and just share, again, just a little bit more depth of what the rest of the projects are, go down the list. I also want to share that Ms. Sandrika Morning's joined us, one of our other board members, and we appreciate her being here tonight. So thank you, Ms. Morning. We have security camera upgrade for the elementary. We already have knocked off the camera upgrades at the secondary level.
Yep.
We'll need to do the same thing to make sure we do everything we can to have safe campuses at the elementary level.
And the best thing about this, I want them to look up top in that kind of orange area, that last word up there. It says draft. So this is a draft here, so we want your input. Please send us your input. So if you see something on this list that we've omitted or that we need to change or you have questions about, please reach out to us.
The LED upgrades, that really is critical. We've done a lot of good things with improving lighting from the project that
Let me look and see if any of these LEDs.
We did things on the outdoor parking lots. We took the largest energy consumers, energy hogs. We had 6 campuses identified. Sometimes people are very surprised to find out that the largest energy hog we had was Stevens Elementary. You would think it might be a Central or Dunbar. It was actually Stevens. But Central also needed that type of upgrade. We want to continue to do that because the money that we put into LED lighting, it not only improves the learning environments for kids, but it ultimately ends up being a cost savings. Window replacement, kind of same type of thing. You want to share about that and maybe lump in roofs, windows and roofs together?
So to piggyback on some of the LED projects, so we look around here, we still have fluorescent lights here, so quite a bit of savings. We actually get rebates on that as well. So if we just say if we spend that $10 million on LED upgrades, we may get, say, 30% of that back on just rebates out there. We're going to get more of that back on energy savings. But if we look at windows out there, we know Dunbar has a need to replace many of the windows along with Central. We've actually replaced a few of Central's in the front facade of Central through a National Park Service grant. We have been awarded 2 grants, but we have window needs across the district as well. So windows and ventilation things are major things right now. So as we go through those high school renovations, I don't know if you want to hit on those, Mr.
Well,
Bohr.
let's just do roofs together because I think that fits in well right now. There's a big package here with roof replacement, and it looks like we've taken our top 10 roof needs.
So we've identified our top 10 roof needs. We've identified, put the dates on there when they were last actually replaced. And you can tell roofs here are expensive, so you may spend $7,000, maybe $12,000 on your home roof, but when we're looking at one of our buildings, it's typically about $1 million package there because we're going to have to take off material and put better material back on in most cases. So we're not going to be patching roofs. These are our top 10. So when we're looking at this right now, something may just, for instance, something may bump one of these off and something else may go on the top 10, but it's just based on weather events and something that may happen. So we had a major weather storm last year. A lot of pipes were bursted. But right now, these are our top 10 that we're looking at.
I think the other thing about roofs is that it's got to be pointed out that we didn't always do roofs right in this district. And we did what I like the word you used, patchwork, where we kind of took the easy route out, a lower cost, but we didn't do it right. Dunbar is a classic example. Our board has actually toured that facility and has seen some of the challenges at Dunbar, and it really represents the, what was done, the type of roofing that they did. It created a short-term solution, but it wasn't a long-term solution. And so the life of those roofs that you get patched, you're lucky to get to 10 years, where the kind of solution we're generating
looking for 20 to 25 years. And we've gotten some of those, we've gotten that out of many of our roofs. So we pretty much, we just hadn't had the funds in the past. So we had the funds in 2009-10 through ARA, and we replaced quite a few roofs and did some things along with smart boards. And that's one thing you won't notice on here now is smart boards because we've got received ESSER funds. So that was one of the things that we could take off of this package and actually put through our ESSER.
Well, since you brought up, oops, I hit the wrong button, sorry. Since you brought up ESSER funding, one of the things, not only smart boards, but that also fits into HVAC replacements because we are going to have some projects. You can see $12 million. Can you speak to that a little bit?
So on HVAC, so we currently have about $10 million allocated in the ESSER for HVAC replacements for ventilation, but we also know we have some additional needs. So these are in addition to the ones we've identified. And just to piggyback back on the roof part as well, so if we have a bunch of package units on a roof that is near its end of life, we can't go up there and update those package units without damaging the roof. So some of these roofs you see on that top 10 would allow us to upgrade the ventilation as well. And that the roof is not an allowable cost on the ESSER, so that's the important part of the roofs on there too.
Of course, I'm itching to talk about high school, but I want to take one more second to just talk about the federal funds that we as a district have received, just under $100 million. And the awesome thing is that he brought up smart boards. We bought most of our smart boards
2009,
2010. Those are, imagine having a TV at your house that you have that's 12 years old, okay? Most of us don't have TVs that are 12 years old. We bought new technology, and with the need to be virtual sometimes, blended learning, or even pivoting to virtual, new smartboard technology will really be helpful to all of our stakeholders, students, staff, and even parents. So that came out of our federal funds, and some of our federal funds also will help us with HVAC replacement. But the good thing about that is that actually freed up about $20 million that we didn't have to have on this list, okay? So we are trying to be very creative and use the resources that we have to the most extreme effect. Now, high schools,
Are you excited about high schools?
I love talking about high school. So, we've got to do some things that create reinvestment here. I have started off with Parkview every time, and I think it's a good example of one of our campuses. It's a magnet. It says it's a fine arts and science magnet. Every year we have the school getting very close to its capacity. But if you're a parent looking at that school or station, and you walk into that auditorium, there's no way that you would say, wow, this is it. This is the mecca of fine arts. But it should be. And we're not even close to being there at that campus. So we need to create some investment into places like Parkview. The central solution, we've got some resources saying a little bit about the athletic end of things, but please also note that we're also down here, where's the one with, I'm not seeing the removal of portables.
Yellow.
Okay, right here, portables, we got $55 million that's allocated to help with removal of portables to create other solutions. That certainly will be a part of the central solution. We're not going to get central to be taken care of all in one swoop. If we did that, it would eat up almost every bit of money that we have here. But we can do some things that would give us the first phase of improvements at Central, and we can also go do things then at Parkview. Hall, the best example here at Hall is this is a steam magnet, and the work that's been done by the team here at Hall, and now with Ms. Cooper working with Forest Heights and that whole thing coming together, we have some work to especially work on their 700 wing to impact what we can do to create top-level engineering. And we have partners that are willing to help. We also need to come forward with some resources. And you can see Little Rock Southwest on there, and Little Rock West, School of Innovation. And we have some money that needs to go into there for either Science Lab, cafeteria. Now, that actually could be tweaked if we maintain our interest in building a new Little Rock West High School. And this is on my list. I'm advocating for it. I'm asking the board to give it consideration. I think it's the right time. It's the right time for a lot of different reasons. One, if you just look at what's going on right now at Little Rock West School of Innovation, our numbers are actually increasing every year. We started at 60, then we went up to 120. So we matched freshman class, sophomore class. This year, the number of students that are going in to Little Rock West, we actually have 120 new freshmen. So there's greater interest there. And we also know that we're still losing some students to private school. We're losing some students to charter out in that area. And we're losing students to the county school district. So if we were to do this, I don't see it being a detriment to Central. I look at it as a way that we can increase our population at the high school. And it's important to note that we've actually had 2 years in a row of increases in our overall high school population within the district. So the way that we're rolling things out, the excitement that we have here at Hall, the excitement that we have going out at West Campus, the excitement that's going on with Parkview, the two high schools that are more traditional in nature, Southwest and Central, we can really create I think, an awesome package, and it will make sense. West High Campus, the estimate that we have, and really we've got to make sure we say estimate of $85 million. That's because we have not done the groundwork for that like we can say we did for the Mcclellan project. We haven't had any of that interaction with our staff, with our students, to be able to create a design with an architect. That still has to come. That's another reason for why we might sell our bonds at different times. Do you want to explain
That is correct. So once we get the architectural designs and start the programming part, we can actually really probably get a better estimate on what that cost is going to be. So we pretty much have $85 million plugged out. We're confident that would cover the cost. We don't have to buy any land. We already have land out there. And I don't think the groundwork would be nearly as expensive as it was in Southwest, because we have to do a lot of groundwork when we're at the schools in Southwest. So.
Well, and we kind of know that our design for that new high school, the adding on to the high school, would be right there, building on to the office part of where we're currently at, and that would be the extension. But we have a lot of work to do in that particular venue to figure that out. all these things are really important. And what it ends up doing, in my eyes, us moving forward like this, first, it's just time. It's time to reinvest. It's also a wise investment because I think we've been really good stewards with the resources that have been entrusted us. And I also think we have wonderful principals in place, staff that are in place, that are ready to generate the necessary support that all of us want if we're parents or grandparents of what it can mean for our students. We've got the right delivery right now. We have the right group of people in place. We have a board in place now for the first time that can help us go out to the public if they choose to move forward. That's the board gets to really then take over of being able to encourage and work and get people excited about voting. That's exciting for us. It's an opportunity. I used a phrase last night. I want to bring it up again. It's like, hey, let's bring them home. Let's bring some of these folks that maybe have ventured away from us a little bit. Let's get them back, okay? Because we have a delivery that's sound. And we're excited about it, and we're also excited about what we're trying to do here with these facilities. With that, do you have any other comments before we jump into any
I would
questions?
say the most important aspect of this is for our students. So we have some of the brightest, smartest, most talented students, I would say, in the world, along with some exceptional educators as well. So we want our buildings to reflect, that as well. So when they walk in, they have all the necessary tools to make them successful in the future. So we're the capital city, Arkansas. We want our schools to reflect that.
Yeah, great point. And, we go to the last slide, our contact information. We also know that our board members are going to be very receptive. We want input to come into them. You can go onto our website. You can easily see how to contact them. You can get a hold of us. We're going to always follow through. If we don't have the answer, we're going to go find the answer. And I think the board members have that same mentality. We want to stop real quick to see if there's any questions that any of our community has right now, or any of those folks that are here. And board members, if we did not say some of the meetings that you have attended, say, how come he didn't say that? Shout it out, and I'll try to make sure I bring it up. Okay, we're giving it that kind of dramatic pause. So we're good with that. Now we want to remind everybody that we're going to be at Central High tomorrow night. That's especially important for those that are maybe watching online and say, well, I do have questions, and I don't know whether I want to bring that in person or I want to talk to somebody after the meeting. All those things are possible. Board members always stay around just a little bit after the meeting to answer questions. So will Kelsey and I, Dr. McGee, other staff will be here. Come in, take a look at what we're getting ready to go do with Mcclellan. Mcclellan, if this thing passes, we want to move dirt how fast?
I would say the day after, but getting the contracts by December 31st. But
it can't happen quick enough, huh?
Yeah, definitely early January.
It'd be a pretty sweet Christmas gift to get dirt moving, before we got to the new year. That's how aggressive we want to be. The committee to look at the project for West High, we want to have that start immediately and get to work. The efforts of working with contractors, it probably freaks both of us out a little bit because we have a lot of projects that we'd all be trying to execute in a short amount of time, but we hope we have gained your confidence to say we can go pull this off. We turned a warehouse around. It was a warehouse, 4 city blocks at Pinnacle View, a warehouse that big trucks came in and out of, that's now one of the most beautiful middle schools that you can find anywhere. We did that within a 1-year span. Mm-hmm. So that happens because we've got good people, but we also partner with really good people in our community. The Cromwells, the Polk Stanley Wilcox. We've got great architects, we've got good contractor firms, Clark Construction, Nabholz, and Baldwin Shell. Yeah. They're all, these folks, we've got good people to go work with. We're very blessed that way. We can go execute this, we can go move forward, but it's going to be up to all of you to make that decision. And of course, it's up to our board to initially make the call whether we're going to move forward on August 19th. August 19th, board vote, give input to the board members, give input to us. November 2nd is our election. Of course, if we move forward, we're going to give a lot of information about where we're at. We've been working on ballot language. We feel like that was a hang-up. We've been working on ballot language to try to make that cleaner so that everybody has a better understanding of what we're really asking of our community in terms of this support. Final comment that I'll share, you know, there are some other things that are out there in our community. You know, our school election, it's important. I also view the city's ballot question as important. I hope people will invest and look into what Mayor Scott's trying to do. There's an element there that would have an impact on early childhood education that will impact Little Rock School District without a doubt. That's there. Library is going to be looking at something as well. That may seem like, wow, that's a lot for all of us to deal with. Hey, there is the things that the investments all will come back and pay for itself. Little Rock School Districts, real clear, will not be an increase to what you're paying for your property. If this passes in November, your property tax does not change. It just extends it over time. The only way your property tax would change is if the assessment changes. So that's a pretty safe bet. Pretty safe bet to generate $300 million. So please give this all consideration. Give us feedback. Come with your questions. We appreciate everyone's attention tonight. Thank you.